Hey, YouTube, we are back live. Welcome back to our channel here at SleepWell RX. And we want to wish everybody a happy new year. Today starts the new year, so we're going to definitely dive right in. So I titled this live New Year, New You, and why you seem to gain 5 pounds overnight and how to stop it. So I chose this topic because this is on a lot of people's like New Year resolutions list to really get a handle on, their better weight management. And doing this will actually put you at a extraordinary benefit in terms of, really decreasing risks for chronic diseases, whether it's, heart issues, whether it's diabetes, high cholesterol, a lot of different variations of different issues, even, better pain management, if we all can definitely get a handle on the weight. So I'm going to send out a couple of notifications. I definitely remember, this is the time of the year where there was food everywhere I went. And you all probably experienced the exact same thing, just food everywhere, just sweets. For I want to say starting really October, we're just now ending this season. So really around Halloween time, it was just constant, lots of sweets, sugars, candies everywhere. Um, all into, Thanksgiving, where we, this is our feast time here in America, having, our big Thanksgiving feast. And then all of the, the celebrations for Christmas, the different parties, whether you're having parties with, family members, co-workers, all of this can be quite a bit. So I definitely wanted to come in here today so that hopefully that all of us can get a better handle on what, in terms of what we're going to be eating going forward into the new year, and really get a handle on how our sleep can affect how well we are eating and not eating. So definitely, you are in the right place. I want to welcome everybody for joining us on the live tonight. Be sure to subscribe to our channel if you are someone that's looking for, really you're doing all the things right. You're working out. Hi, I see a lot of people popping on the live right now. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Give us some likes so that we can go ahead and push this out. Oh, thank you for the compliments. Thank you so much. This is like one of my New Year's resolutions. I was gonna, I usually wear my glasses on here, and I was like, I'm gonna start wearing my contacts more. So thank you. I know you guys aren't used to that, so we'll see how long that lasts. So we wanted to look at what's really going on. We get on the scale and we think we're doing everything right. We're exercising. We've cut back on the sugary treats. We're doing things right. We're going to Pilates, yoga, we're at the gym, we're walking. Why is it that when we wake up, what is going on that we are seeing, multiple pounds increase the next day? One of the major things, and I wanted to touch on that first, is really what's going on is a lot of times this is not fact, okay? Most of the time, this is actually a water retention issue. So we know, as women, we can definitely have, issues with water retention. And we can have that, definitely fluctuating based on the progesterone and our own estrogen cycles coming in. So that's definitely something we can look at and see what's going on with that. Um, we can also experience this, especially we're coming off of Christmas. We had so many delicious treats, high sugary treats, high sodium treats. All of these types of treats can really affect our bodies in terms of holding on to more and more water. We may notice it in our ankles. We may notice it when we get up in the morning that, our rings aren't fitting quite right, or they're just too tight on us. So some of the common culprits could be, once again, this time of the year, we're having a lot of takeout, pizzas, salty food. We're eating a lot of processed foods during this time of the year, a lot of sugary foods. A lot of people are even, when we go to, a lot of these parties, there's a lot of canned items, canned soups, salty snacks. And we talked about some of the symptoms you can see. So don't be too hard on yourself if you're seeing, these like, rapid weight gain suddenly. If you're a woman, look at where you are in your cycle. That could be some of their issues as well. Hi, I see more people coming into the live. Welcome, welcome. Definitely like the live, and be sure to give us a subscribe if you are new here. So we're looking at a lot of times that weight gain is not weight gain at all. It is simply a water retention. And coming out of our holidays, I want to say all the way from really Halloween to into Thanksgiving, into Christmas, into even New Year's Day here, where we're here today. We are looking at what we have been eating that really causes us to retain that water. So I'll review it again. A lot of takeout food, pizza, if we're taking, even Chinese food that has, the MSG in it, which is a super concentrated form of salts. Processed salts, processed soups, even this time of year. A lot of sugar. I know we had so many pies this past Christmas. I didn't bake the pies, but I had aunts, family members, moms were all baking these pies. Just a lot of sugar. So this is a good time of the year to really get a hold of what's going on. Our weights naturally fluctuate, so we should know that and not be super hard on ourselves about that. We can actually fluctuate between 1 to 5 pounds. But what happens if we don't address this, this can actually lead to more holding on to higher amounts of fat in the body. Some of the other reasons we can look at is really the high carbohydrates. So a lot of us, we wake up in the morning, a lot of us don't realize this, but coffee is like a major carbohydrate drink that is made out of beans. And those high carbs can definitely pile on. Coffee, a lot of people, and I know some people who drink black coffee, but a lot of people put so much sugar into the coffee, and that's adding more and more to the carbs. Also looking at the late night carbs. When I was home visiting family, I noticed a lot of family members were eating really heavy meals at nighttime as well. Eating heavy salty meals at nighttime, heavy carbohydrate, high in carbohydrate meals at nighttime as well. All of that can definitely make, a really big hit on you in terms of you retaining salt. Okay, we already talked about the estrogen and progesterone fluctuations. So really, the water isn't the enemy. Another reason why we can get a lot of water into certain parts of the body is if we are highly inflamed. So those high rates of inflammation actually cause the water to migrate, to actually cool us down in certain areas. Again, a lot of that's diet time. That's why I really did this particular video this time of the year. This would be a great way for you to begin your detox. Detoxing from, the sugary sweets from Halloween. Definitely. Let's see, someone says, oh, hi, good to see you all coming on here. Be sure to subscribe to our channel if you're new here. Definitely send us out some likes. I see some more likes coming in. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the likes. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate the likes. So we are definitely looking at, different things to, really take a deep dive onto detoxing from this holiday season that we're just coming off of. So the first reason we talked about could be definitely water retention. Water retention from too much salty foods, processed foods, high sugar, like the carbohydrate foods. We can definitely see that in that instance. Also, we can see it in an instance if we are, as women having fluctuating cycles, that can be seen as well. So the next thing I want to look at is our cortisol levels. Our cortisol levels are probably higher at this time of the year. We experience, a lot of people experience a lot of stress during the holidays. So we're coming off of, a stressful holiday season. Hopefully, now that the new year's begun, you can kind of really, really relax. And definitely reduce some of that stress. But we know the major stress hormone that we experience is cortisol. Now, cortisol can actually really contribute to the same reason that we talked about in the beginning of retaining water. When your cortisol levels get higher, you can actually, retain more and more water, which you'll see that effect in the morning time when you get on the scale. You can also, when you have increased cortisol levels, it's telling your body to store more fat. The increased cortisol levels are, they're ideal for a reason because your body thinks, okay, I'm stressed out. I don't know what to do right now. We may be in a survival situation here. So let's hold on to some water. Water is a necessity, so it will increase, edema or, having that swelling. It can also say, you know what, if you're stressed out, we don't know if you're in a scarcity mode. We don't know when we're going to eat again. So it can actually hold on to body fat in that area. So we definitely want to look into that. So, high cortisol, some of the things it can also do for you is slowing down your metabolism. And so if we aren't effectively metabolizing our food, the cortisol definitely can affect that. So one of the reasons we want to really look at is, are you doing those late meals? Naturally, if you are eating like 2 to 3 hours before bed, that's the ideal time. But I am seeing a lot of clients coming to me, they're eating like 20 to 30 minutes before bed. And those are actually going to really actualize your cortisol level getting higher, okay? And we don't want high cortisol levels at nighttime. This will actually cause insomnia and keep us awake or prevent us from, really getting a good night's sleep. So we want to have natural higher cortisol levels first thing in the morning. That's actually the good time to have it because that's our time to get up and go out and live our life. And they should be lowered in the evening time. So that was the number 2. So the first one we talked about was water retention from salt and too many carbohydrates. The second way we looked at was actually, cortisol. Cortisol will help you to store fat if you need that, because it kind of thinks you're in a fight or flight situation where we need to, really focus on survival. It will also increase edema, and that's you holding on to more fluid. So that's something definitely to be careful with as well. We're going to look at really solutions for all of this, but I'm going to see if there's any questions. I saw some questions pop up here. Oh, thank you. I think Sir Mo 199. And I see someone ask, do you like baked beans? I'm not a big fan of beans because they are difficult to digest. Usually like this time of year, we'll have some beans with some chili in them or something, but I am really big on gut health because if you have bad gut health and you're consistently eating foods that do not support, a really effective, high functioning gut health, you're going to have issues sleeping at night. And that is something I definitely go over with my clients to really maximize. So that was a good question. No, I don't particularly like those. Okay. And can you repeat about Yeah, I can repeat about cortisol for weight gain. Again, the cortisol issue is very important because this is really a hormone you give out when you're in a high stress situation. And your body doesn't know, okay, maybe you're a high stress situation because, you're, have a difficult drive home. the body just thinks, okay, she's in a survival mode. So we're going to have to do some things to survive right now. We're going to have to hold on water because water is necessary for life. So you're going to have some water retention in that capacity. Also, you're going to see, you know, the body's saying, okay, are we going to starve here? Are we going to make it? It's in a scarcity mode because it's trying to protect you. So those high cortisol levels are going to hold on to fat. So high cortisol level can hold on to more water than you want, water retention, making that, you know, increased weight gain, hold on to more fat, and also slows down your metabolism. Okay? So those are some of the major things. So that was a good question. And someone said, okay, what can we do to reduce this? Okay, we're going to go over one more issue and then we'll go talk about some of the things that definitely help us reduce this. So the next issue I want to talk about, and this is really affecting you during sleeping, is you have two major hormones that are really highly regulated during sleep. The first one is ghrelin. That's your hunger hormone. So you're going to find out this is going to go up and get higher and higher if you are experiencing sleep deprivation. So if you're not getting enough rest, if you're exhausted all the time, you're going to find that you're going to be more hungry, which is one of the really important ways to really get good sleep to help control your weight. Okay. So this is one of the reasons, if you're one of the people who feels like, you know, I'm just feeling ravenous all the time. I'm never satisfied, no matter how much I eat. I'm always telling people, watch your sleep because you will have higher levels of ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, if you're not getting enough sleep every night. So, and I see someone ask how much sleep should you be getting. That's a really good question. So the recommendation is for women anywhere from about 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night. Men can get away with less. So lucky men, they can get away from about 6 to 8 hours of sleep per night. And this is adult. So, you know, the younger you are, the more sleep you need, the more growing you're doing, the more, you know, metabolic activities are going on. So this will be different for teenagers, preteens, children, babies. They're going to actually require more sleep than adults do. So that's a really good question. And someone asked, okay, why is it that women need more sleep? I know it's not fair. It just seems like it's not fair. First of all, we're just a really, what's a nice way to say it? We're just a factory of hormones. It's probably the easiest way to put that. We are just a consistent, nonstop factory of hormones as women. So we have so many fluctuations of these hormones going on throughout the month, going up and down and interchanging. By nature, men tend to be more, I want to say, tunnel focused. And women, however, we are really developed to be because we're, you know, watching multiple children, watching the house, cooking something, cleaning something. We tend to be more multi-focused. Doing that more multi-focused way of living actually, you know, it wears us out more. We need more rest to recover from that. So that's something, if you, as women, you know, we probably need to slow down more, get more rest, you know, focus on those one or two things. The more and more we spread ourselves out, plus our, you know, our hormonal factory up and down, makes us really more prone to sleep deprivation because we actually require more sleep and we're oftentimes not getting the most sleep that we need during this time. So that was a really good question. Thanks. Be sure to put your questions down at the bottom here, and we're going to go over some more information. So we talked about, you know, ghrelin. That's your major hunger hormone. It goes up, it spikes higher if you are not getting enough rest, okay? And the result is you're going to feel hungrier. You're just going to feel less full. You're going to feel like nothing really satisfies you at all. So definitely you want to do that and check into that. And if you're adding late night food into the mix, your body is less insulin sensitive at night, okay? So calories are more likely to be stored as fat. So that's something to really, really keep in mind. I like when I'm working with clients for them to have a really, really good schedule in terms of when they're going to eat. Okay. Eating too close to bedtime will actually make your body store that more as fat. So you'll wake up, you'll be shocked at the scale, wondering what's going on when you're trying to, even for something healthy. So having a good cutoff time before bed is a really, really good idea. If you eat too later, then your your body's actually has an internal clock called the circadian rhythm. And that circadian rhythm is going to be just totally, totally thrown off if you're just not, if you're eating really, really too close to bedtime. Your body's going to be spending a lot of that energy digesting the food and not really, really taking that time to actually stabilize you and have you on your internal clock rhythm so that you can get a good night's sleep. So that's a good, good question. Let's see if there's any other questions in the chat. Okay, okay. I don't see anything. Definitely put questions in the chat. If you're watching this in the future, put questions in the comments so I can come back and answer your questions there as well. So we want to really, really regulate when we go to sleep at night. And we're going to give some of the, really better tips towards the end. So we talked about the first hormone, the ghrelin, that's your hunger hormone. The next one is the leptin, that's your fullness hormone. It will go down when you don't get enough sleep. So our bodies are just amazing, amazing hormone factories in general. But leptin is when, it will let us know that, hey, you've had enough, you're full. All of a sudden, that will start decreasing and decreasing if you are sleep deprived, okay? So poor sleep can drop leptin about 20 to 25%. So that's really, really major. And it's one of the reasons that a lot of people, they're wondering why they're so hungry all the time. If you're hungry all the time, you just don't feel full and satisfied, definitely, definitely take stock and start taking record of how well you are sleeping at night. Okay. If these hormones are both out of whack, we talked about the ghrelin and the leptin, it becomes a vicious cycle where, you're eating late at night, the body gets a little bit confused with the circadian rhythm, you start sleeping poorly, the hormones go completely haywire, you start having increased cravings, you never feel full or satisfied, you keep eating and eating more, start storing that fat, and then it starts all over again, eating late at night. So someone asked me what's a good cutoff time. So we're going to talk about some of the solutions, but a good cutoff time is about 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. If you're having issues with weight, I would tell you to do more of on the larger side. So if you go to bed at 10, the latest you should be eating your heavy meal should be 7 p.m. at nighttime. Okay. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Yeah, 7 p.m. You may be able to get away with it if, you say, okay, really, I'm not dealing with weight issues. But I know after just about everyone I talk to after this Christmas and the Thanksgiving, even the New Year's, a lot of people had alcohol beverages last night. And we know that can cause weight gain and cause things to go haywire as well. So okay, I see another question. Someone says, can alcohol help you to sleep? That's a really good question. So, a lot of people find that when they drink, wines, that they are feeling, sedated. And probably the major reason for that is that grapes have natural melatonin in them. All natural melatonin is found in grapes. And so that's probably what that's picking up. The alcohol itself can have some sedative effect. However, the studies have shown from some of the sleep specialists who actually, bring people into a lab, hook them up. After they've had a certain amount of alcohol, their actual sleep architecture becomes highly, highly disruptive. Okay, so that's just a sleep architecture is a fancy term for all the different phases of sleep that you go in and out every night. We all go throughout these various phases. We know phase one, phase two, the rapid eye movement phase, where we're getting a lot of our healing, our regeneration, a lot of our emotional regulations. Also where our memory is stored. So if if people are having, they're waking up kind of foggy brain, they're having memory issues, definitely look into the quality of the sleep you're having every night. Are you going through those phases, or are you constantly waking up? See other questions. Okay, someone said they wake up every night, and they can't get back to sleep. Okay. So that could be a problem, and that's also one of the definitions of insomnia. Some people think insomnia is just that, oh, I can't get to sleep. But insomnia also includes people who, when they go to sleep at night, they can't stay asleep. Okay, so it's natural for us to wake up once or twice throughout the night. That's actually natural for this to happen. A lot of people don't know this, but if you study, little kids, smaller kids, even babies, they wake up throughout the night. The problem is when you can't get back to sleep at all. That's where the problem definitely lies. So definitely send me a message if you're interested in looking at getting some more help around that issue. A lot of times it's simply some issues with your sleep hygiene as to why you can't get good sleep. Okay. And what is sleep hygiene? Yeah, sleep hygiene. And that's kind of a funny term because we know what sleep is and we know hygiene is, having a certain amount of cleanliness and being clean. But really sleep hygiene is a, two-word term really describing best practices that they've studied clinically for us to be, doing on a regular basis, on a consistent basis to get great sleep. So, some of the sleep hygiene things are, they're going to look at your bedroom. Do you have really bright lights in your bedroom at nighttime, or are you doing more dimmer lights? Other sleep hygiene, we already talked about the quality of the food that you're having. What time are you having that particular food? Do you actually have a bedtime routine? Or are you just, hopping in the bed thinking things are just automatically going to shut off? Most people need, and I want to say not only adults, we learn this with anybody who's, really helped or watched children at any point. They need an actual routine to alert the body, mind, and soul that it's time to calm down, that it's time to get a good night's sleep, that it's okay to relax and rest. And we have to kind of ease ourselves into that. So that's a really good question. Some other sleep hygiene things. Once again, I know that's a funny term. It doesn't mean sleep cleaning because I know hygiene means we're cleaning something, sleep, going to rest. They're just a set of rules, best practices for us to get great sleep. So some of the other rules are the quality of our bed. I've had to have clients go out. They haven't had a new mattress, 20 years. It's time to go out and start mattress shopping. Our I want to say our requirements for mattresses change through the years. As we get older, sometimes we really appreciate a more firmer mattress. And it can differ from person to person. If you're having issues with back or shoulder pain, anything like that, it can definitely differ from person to person. So I encourage, getting quality mattress, actually going shopping for a new one, as much as possible using natural bedding. So that's, organic cotton, all natural linens, bamboo. There's a lot of natural things. When we use artificial bedding, like the polyester bedding and so forth, it makes it really difficult for our skin to breathe while we're sleeping at night. So definitely look into getting, your natural bedding for a great night's sleep. So that's a really good question. But yes, sleep hygiene, there's books and books and books, and I've written on it. So it's a lot to cover tonight. So I'm just going to touch on the highlights. You definitely want to, lower your lighting. One of the things, and I'm seeing this right now, and I have some bright lights on me right now so that you can see me. But after this live is over, I will be going to just dimmer lamps, okay? One of the things that was kind of outlawed for a while was incandescent lighting. That seems to be a more healthier, safer lighting for us than these LED lights that are just really so bright. They dry out the eyes, and they also, the LED lighting and the blue lighting coming off of your cell phone, your laptops, all of these particular things can actually cause reduced melatonin production in your body. They actually will inhibit and totally disrupt melatonin. And we all know that as the blue lights that are coming off our cell phone, our tablets, our TVs. So you can wear some really effective blue blocker glasses. So if you do have some last minute, I know I have some last minute work I'm going to take care of tonight. I'm going to put my blue blockers on to do that. So that's something definitely keep in mind for your eyesight and so forth. So you guys have some great questions tonight. Thank you, thank you. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to SleepWell RX, where we help you to get the most amazing sleep. We're talking about New Year, New You, why 5 pounds of weight seem to just happen overnight to you, and what to do to stop that. Okay. So we're going to look into now, I want to do a quick recap of what we talked about earlier. Then we'll kind of go over really some of the things that we can do to really stop this. So first of all, we looked at a lot of times if we're gaining anywhere from like 1 to 5 pounds overnight, kind of out of nowhere, that could really be water retention. And there's many reasons for the water retention. Are we eating like really high salt foods? That's causing that. High carbohydrate foods that could be contributing to that. Or is there high amounts of inflammation in the body? A lot of times we're retaining water so much because the inflammation can be so high that the water is going to certain areas to kind of cool down that inflammation. So looking at definitely reducing those. We talked about, some of the common culprits, having some of those really salty late night snacks. Like if we're having some type of pizza, some type of, chips, whether it's, corn chips, potato chips, all of the different chips that are out there. Anything that's highly processed, when you look at the sodium count on there, the sodium is just really high. Okay, so that's something we definitely want to take a deep dive into. Like we said, some of the symptoms could be that you're retaining that water. If your rings, if you get up in the morning, they're just so tight and it looks like your finger is going to burst or something. You can even see it in the face if there's too much like bloating in your face. And that higher number in the scale as well. As women, that's also something we have to look out for, because some of this can actually be attributed to our cycles in terms of that water retention. The next thing I wanted to look at, and we talked about after, the water retention, could this actually be cortisol levels? And now we see high cortisol levels in ourselves when we're having, high stress. We're coming off Christmas break, and I know Christmas, Thanksgiving, these can be difficult times of the year. I know through the years, they can always be difficult, kind of bittersweet for me and my family, because we have had a good amount of losses in the family. And there's a certain amount of pressure and stress to, have this perfect holiday when you just don't feel up to it. So we definitely give ourselves the space. I think more than ever, and definitely this year, I definitely saw that we gave ourselves that space to still, really enjoy the holiday while still having that moment where we're actually reminiscing, even having a little bit of grief of actually missing some of the people. So are you having stress from that issue? Another issue with stress can really come from late night meals, okay? That's putting an extra stress on your body. So if we're eating like 20 to 30 minutes before bedtime, when we should be really shutting the body down for rest, and now the body has to get geared up to, really digest our food, that can spike cortisol levels as well. And finally, we looked at two of the major hormones, the ghrelin and the leptin. Okay, our ghrelin is our hunger hormone. It goes up, it spikes up when we haven't gotten enough sleep. The leptin hormone is the one that alerts us that, hey, you're full now, you're satisfied, you can stop eating. That goes down when we don't get enough sleep. So that's something we really, really want to look into, maximizing our sleep. Okay, so how to stop this for good. So we're gonna go look at two, and some of you have some really, really good questions. We're gonna look at how to protect your sleep. And a lot of this is really non-negotiables, okay? Again, women need about 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Men can get away with less, about 6 to 8 hours. I know it's not fair, ladies who are on the call right now. Be sure to subscribe to our channel if you're new here. Definitely send us a subscribe and send us, I see a few more likes coming in. Thank you, thank you. So we're gonna talk about, what they call sleep hygiene. I hate to use that term because people are thinking, are you talking about being clean while you're sleeping? Because we know what hygiene is, we know what sleep is, but sleep hygiene is just basically a simple set of rules. A lot of us have forgotten how to sleep because now we have 24-hour bright lights on us. 100 years ago, people didn't have extreme cases of insomnia like we're seeing today. We have millions and millions, according to the CDC, of people suffering from insomnia here in the US. And according to the World Health Organization, it's a problem worldwide. And why is that? Well, we look at some of the things that, we have going on that maybe our grandparents, parents, definitely our great grandparents didn't have. They didn't have, their cell phone to scroll at night. We have that. And that's giving off blue lighting on us, disrupting our melatonin. Okay. They also didn't have a lot of processed foods. Okay. They were able to eat healthy, clean, organic. It didn't cost the arm and the leg either to eat organic. Is it's getting more and more expensive now. I do see that. They also saw, in terms of their hydration, they stayed hydrated a lot better than we did. A lot of our electronics are actually drying us out, making us more and more dehydrated. And then we're not getting enough good quality water. Okay. They got, really good water from well water, spring water that we just simply didn't have. We don't have right now. A lot of them had a natural bedtime routine because once the sun set, they didn't have a lot of lighting indoors. So they, had candle lit, they had some kerosene lamps, but it was really a natural way. Once the sun set, they would start decreasing their activity for the evening. They had a set eating time. We eat all times of the day because we can run to, this fast food place at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night and get food. They didn't have that. So you want to just going over some brief sleep hygiene. I have some A to Z. I have a playlist here, A to Z sleep, that you can definitely take a deep dive. And we went literally from the letter A to the letter Z, where we talked about some of the different rules of sleep. So you can definitely look on the channel and find that here in our playlist. But we'll go over some brief things here now. Have a cutoff time for your screens. Emotionally, a lot of times we're doom scrolling. So that doom scrolling is not, really healthy for us in terms of emotionally and spiritually for us to get a good night's sleep. A lot of times it's bad news. It's bad news on the news itself. It's bad news on our phone. So definitely decreasing, that doom scrolling. If you have to do some last minute emails or check some work after a certain amount of time, be sure to have your blue blocker glasses on. So you're blocking the blue light that decreases the melatonin. We talked about food, having that window about 2 to 3 hours before bedtime, so that you giving your body chances and time to digest that food, because then once the food is fully digested, then you can get to sleep. If it's competing with sleep, the digestion's going to win out and you're not going to be able to go to sleep. Limiting alcohol. And I have some clients who love to have a glass of wine. There's like I have to have my glass of wine before bed. That's just what it is. I highly advise them to have that with their meal. If you have to have a glass of wine, have it with your meal about 3 hours before, just like the heavy meal that we talked about, so that once again, your body has time to break down that alcohol and it's not disrupting your sleep architecture. We talked about, and one of my previous videos, I did having a caffeine curfew and what that means. So if we're having caffeine, and I know a lot of restaurants do this, especially when you go out for fine dining, after you have a meal, they're asking you, and this could be 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, would you like coffee after your meal? Your answer should be no. That's really, really too late at night. Your body is still trying to break down the caffeine after all that time. So for me, I know I can't have caffeine past like noon. Um, or else I'm going to have issues getting to sleep. And caffeine could be hiding in a lot of different things. They're in these sports drinks. They're in so-called healthy granola bars. The caffeine could be in a lot of places. So definitely, definitely beware and, check on that for yourself. You want to affect your temperature. Now, up here, we're pretty cold right now, but we still want to make sure that we are sleeping in lower temperatures. It is hard to get a good night's sleep, and actually, for sleep to start, your body has to lower its temperature in advance, okay? So anywhere from like 60 degrees to about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on your body temperature, yourself, depending on where you're at in the country, in the world right now. Definitely, the lower temperatures, you need that for a good night's sleep. Another way is taking, actually, which sounds a little counterproductive, but it's very effective, taking a hot bath or a hot shower before going to bed at night. What happens is after this hot bath or hot shower, your body will naturally go into a homeostasis where it starts cooling itself down pretty much right after you get out of that hot bath and hot shower. After it begins this cool down is when it's easiest for you to fall asleep, because you actually naturally need a cool down period in order to go to sleep at night. We talked about using as much as possible so that your skin can breathe at night. Natural fibers like organic cotton, linens, bamboo. Those people who like a more silk. I'm trying to see that I miss any questions. Okay. I don't think there's any extra questions. Be sure if you have some questions, put them down in the chat. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, so those are the basic. I have so much things. Is there anything you could take to help sleep? Okay, so I always get this question, is there anything you can take? I always want my clients to get, this really concept in your head. Getting great sleep on a consistent basis naturally is your birthright. You should not have to depend over and over on sleeping pills. The FDA, even when they approve those pills, they approve them for short-term use a lot of times. They did not approve a lot of those particular prescriptions for long-term, people using them years and years after the fact, to kind of get you over a hump of insomnia, but not necessarily for permanent use. So there are some issues though, and I understand a lot of our foods just don't have some of the natural nutrients that we need for sleep. So I don't necessarily consider taking a pill for sleep per se. But if you are deficient, and you should have, some blood work done, you should be working with either, a physician, nurse practitioner, even if you prefer a naturopath or something of that nature. Be working with someone to determine if you are nutrient deficient, okay? One of the major nutrients that we're all deficient in, I think the last time I looked, it was like 70% of Americans were deficient in magnesium. Okay. So that could be definitely serious. Magnesium is one of our major relaxants from head to toe, relaxing our muscles, and is one of the major cofactors needed in effective heart conduction. It's used in multiple cofactors throughout our body. And to find that we're so deficient in that is a little disturbing. And so that can be something that can help you. I don't want you to see it as a sleep pill per se, but as something that if you are deficient in that, you're working with a healthcare practitioner to make sure, you're not overly giving yourself too much, that you're actually looking at, what your particular magnesium numbers are, symptoms are, to see if supplementation would be a definite option for you. So that's a good question about that. Um, and someone asked, what about different herbs and so forth? Yeah, so there's, once again, I don't like people, because we all should have the natural ability to sleep. It's a birthright. It's actually a gift, to be able, to regenerate, to renew the body, to consolidate our memories, to have great emotional regulation, to fight off colds and viruses. That's what we have this time of the year. It is a gift, a wonderful gift, to be able to sleep well and without depending on herbs. Now, I know, depending on what's going on in our life, if we're having certain stressful situations, I know personally, if I lose a family member, lose a close friend, things of that nature, I will have a short period of time where I can't sleep. And I may take some extra herbs for that. So there's chamomile, there's valerian, there's passion flower. Again, I would see that as a red flag if you're dependent on those particular herbs to get a good night's sleep. Okay. Trying to think, any other questions? Okay, great. Be sure if you have any other questions, put them down here in the chat. Be sure to subscribe to our channel here at SleepWell RX, where we help you to get the most amazing sleep. So I see another question. I like a snack before bedtime. Will this mess my sleep up? So that's a good question. So there are some people who their blood sugars fluctuate so much that they need actually like a bedtime snack. So the quality of the snack and how much. I always recommend that people, however big your hand is, this circle, that's about how much you can have. So a small amount, it shouldn't be a giant meal, a small amount. So some berries, some almonds. I like to go for foods that naturally have melatonin in them. So like bananas have an amount of natural melatonin and natural magnesium. We know the cherries. Tart cherries have one of the highest amounts of natural melatonin. So a few tart cherries that, could fit in your palm of your hand would be a great bed night snack. Regular cherries, I prefer those, and those actually have a good amount of melatonin in them too. They're a lot easier to eat than the tart cherries. Those tart cherries, sometimes they're just too tart for my taste, unless I throw them in like a smoothie, a bedtime smoothie or something of that nature. Kiwi has something that has a good amount of melatonin. Some of the nuts, like pistachios, I think are one of the nuts that have some of the highest melatonins, a few walnuts, a few almonds. Something to kind of take the edge off, but not necessarily, a big meal that's going to be taking, a few hours to digest. You don't want to do that. So that is something you can have, before bedtime. Definitely. You want to avoid high sugary snacks with artificial, even natural sugars. If they are fruits, that's something different, but high sugary snacks are a no-no. High salty snacks are a complete no-no. You also don't want to have, really anything heavy or greasy before going to bed. So that's a good question if somebody's like that, wants that. Okay, I'm trying to see any other questions. We're just about done here tonight, so thank you for bearing with me as we go over, why you may be waking up, you're doing all the right things, and you're still seeing that scale and going in a direction that you don't want it to go into. So definitely definitely go back to the beginning here. It could be water retention. It could be high stress from the cortisol. Definitely remember that sleep getting good, consistent, deep sleep by following some of the really good sleep hygiene tips that we went over here tonight will definitely carry you over into really effectively getting a hold on any issues that you have with your insomnia. Okay, trying to think anything else. I think that's about it. We almost made it an hour tonight. Let's see if there are any other questions. Okay, good. Someone asked about the magnesium. What type of magnesium is best? So I prefer, because we can actually absorb it and I can actually feel the effects of it, is using magnesium topically. I feel like I don't have to, digest it and break it down or have any, type of side effects that it may occur. One of the major side effects, it's like I said, it's such a muscle relaxant. It can muscle relax your bowels so much that you can have some, side effects regarding diarrhea if you take too much. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. So I prefer topical, either in a spray. I love a hot bath where it has, Epsom salts are all natural magnesium. You can actually, if you're in the health food store like Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, they have magnesium flakes. I actually feel more effect from the flakes, but sometimes the flakes are, I find they're getting more and more costly, and I could just double up on my Epsom salt and get the same effect and much more cost effective as well. So definitely is one of the major ways. That's a great question. Thank you. And if you're going to, okay, so that's a good question. If you're going to take it orally, there's magnesium glycinate. That's one of the more absorbable forms. Um, and really a safer form that you won't have as much GI side effects that we talked about with that. Yeah. So great. Thank you all for the participation tonight. This has been a great talk. I want to thank you all again. Be sure to subscribe to SleepWell RX. If you haven't already, if you're dealing with issues of getting to sleep, staying to sleep, just waking up feeling groggy and having issues, you are in the right place where we help to really get to the bottom of that and really help to really get some effective, viable solutions so that you can wake up ready to take on your world. So thank you again. Be sure to subscribe, like our video, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. Bye-bye.